Good morning and welcome to Frontiers of Knowledge segment of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. Well, our knowledge has no limits, no boundaries. And that's why the frontiers of knowledge keep on expanding. Our horizon keeps on going further and further. It's just like the horizon of the world. Earth and sky never meet. And as we near the horizon, it looks still far away. And the first item today concerns our problem that is afflicting us coronavirus. We are homebound, sent to the jail inside our homes, a sort of a confinement. And we have got to depend on television, on computer, especially for the professional work. All the professionals today are working from home. And the vast portion of the people, the professional people, were working from home, is well acquainted with a video call. But are you aware that these video calls can be very harmful to you? These meetings, the video meetings, can be exhausting. Professor Ganipiro and Clement University Marisa Shuffler, they have explained to BBC, and they say that when you are working on a video conference, you are almost like an actor or a TV anchor playing to the gallery, playing to the audience, and there's no creativity in that. It's just a showmanship. Secondly, there can be delays, and these delays are very, very nagging, very troublesome, or freezes, and they can be really awful. When there's a freeze in the video, you walk yourself, others are talking, and you are a dumb spectator. What would help? This fatigue from video conferencing is taking the toll of the productivity. Secondly, interpersonal relationship. Thirdly, the personality of the people who are participating. Either they are just spectators or they are parts of a theater company. So, the recommendation of the scientists is non-video calls or other ways to collaborate and devote more some meetings to non-work talk. Say you are having a meeting and do not discuss only the work, discuss something more personal and turn the self view off. The biggest problem in this fatigue from the video meeting is that you're looking at yourself. And that is a converted form of narcissism. So the scientists say that others should be able to see you, but you should not be able to see yourself. So you will not be involved in self praise, and that might help you perform better. I don't know, but there is a logic when they say that video conferences are resulting either in showmanship, theatricals, dramatics, or dumb spectators who have nothing to contribute. Are you not amazed? But then again, coronavirus is troubling us. Vaccines have not been developed. Is a problem even identifying the people who are suffering from coronavirus. So what do they do? The researchers at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine say that the dogs can be trained. Trained to do what? to identify the people who are likely to have coronavirus. The way the dogs smell drugs and catch the drug smugglers. The same way you can train the dogs to sniff out humans who are unknowingly carrying and spreading coronavirus. Earlier, dogs were trained to detect malaria, cancer, and Parkinson's disease. So now they are changing the training system, and the dogs will be trained to sniff out those patients who are carriers of coronavirus, and even those people who are not aware that they are suffering from coronavirus. You remember I was talking the other day that 80% of the patients have no symptoms. And since there are no symptoms, doctor cannot identify them as patients of coronavirus. But the dogs will be able to do it. So what doctors cannot do, dogs can do. And pups. What sort of dogs? Not every dog. Labradors and Cocker Spaniels. They shall be working at detecting it. And England has already started training these dogs. And this summer, if you go to the hospitals in England, you'd be sniffed by the dog, and the doctor will be informed by the dog, well, this person can be a carrier of coronavirus. Could be the next. Dogs with a highly developed sense of smell are already used to fighting other conditions, as I've said. But then, would the patient have faith? Would they have confidence? Would they not feel that the doctor has not been able to identify the problem? But here is a dog which is identifying them. Is a very, very difficult question to answer. I leave it to the future generations. But then the help of the dogs in identifying the patient is not a bad idea. As a concept is excellent. Let's see how it works. And then the third thing, London-based benevolent AI, artificial intelligence, they have discovered a drug, and the drug has already been approved to treat RA, rheumatoid arthritis. And according to the organizations and the scientists working over there, this drug has been discovered not by human beings but by robots. Artificial intelligence discovered this drug, and they say that the same drug can be used to treat the most dangerous symptoms of coronavirus. So if the people who are on the ventilator are near the death, they can be given this drug with the help of machine learning system that analyzes previous drug research. Benevolent AI software found that anti-inflammatory properties that allow baricitinib to alleviate arthritis can dial down the immune system reactions triggered by coronavirus in severe cases. And a pharmaceutical company, Eli Lilly, which manufactures this drug, say that they had not considered it as a potential COVID-19 treatment. So they are starting this month, that is in April from tomorrow, the clinical trials in USA. This drug would not be a magic pill, definitely, but the use of the artificial intelligence to identify useful drugs to fight viruses is a very interesting development. And it speaks volumes for the future of the medicine and Medicare. We are already using artificial intelligence for distance surgery, for treatment, prescriptions, and if even the discovery of the medicine is delegated to artificial intelligence, this is going to be awesome, bone breaking. And then, India suffered two deaths in last 2 days. Two Bollywood personalities died, and both died of cancer. And the researchers at the Harry Perkin Institute in Australia have developed a drug that can keep cancer from metastasizing. Metastasizing means spreading to other parts of the patient's body. What happens in cancer is that one cell goes amok and it multiplies. So you can have, say, breast cancer, then it can spread to lungs, it can spread to spleen, it can spread to ultimately to kidneys, and so on. It keeps on spreading the whole body. But if you take this drug, then it won't cure cancer, definitely not, but it would stop its spread. That means a sort of a boundary wall would be created around the cancerous cells, and they'll be confined within that, and then you can take effective measures to destroy those cancerous cells. Earlier, what used to happen is that tumors make their way to other parts of the body. They lay down stakes by rendering the blood vessels a bit leakier than usual. So that's the process. The cells will expand. The blood cells, the blood vessels started leaking. And this leaking blood made it easier for cancer to invade new regions, new organs. This particular treatment, now discovered by Harry Perkins Institute in Australia, makes it easier to repair the leaky blood vessels, and that would in turn prevent metastasizing of the cancer, spread of the cancer. Secondly, those patients of cancer who have been cured, are in remission, they would not have a relapse. Normally, what happens as happening in coronavirus even, you fall sick, you recover, you again fall sick. Similarly, cancer, you treat it, again it comes back because one tiny infinitesimal part of that cell might be somewhere in the body. But with this medication, there would be no such problem. And then, we have been talking of the gifts of nature. Air is free, water is free, but the governments charge for it. And now, according to the scientists, there's one object, which is free, but which has not been used. You are aware that noise pollution is one of the nastiest pollutions, and noise pollution affects our health. Health is a precious commodity that is fast disappearing. The decibel level near the airports is terrible. And it has been happening for the last couple of decades. Now, a growing number of people want relatively quiet time. Around the world, you can see people walking, silent bars, silent yoga, silent fitness, silent cafes. As a matter of fact, whole tourism sector is beginning to come up with a silent mind. But what is noise pollution? Noise pollution is something which is, as I said, causing a lot of health troubles. And the world is getting noisier. I'm not talking of the lockdown now when there's relatively less noise, but a common word as it was before, say, March 20. And it again would be after a couple of months. So, how much humanity would pay for silence? That's a major question. And WHO has set up a task force to find out how much people are willing to pay for quiet softness. This knowledge has been there in the yogic sciences, it has been there in the science of mindfulness, but its commercial value is now being evaluated, and that is going to make a hell of a difference. Well, these are the some nuggets of knowledge for you to widen your capability of thought and then innovate. Think of new things that can happen. And while one day you would say, like Miranda, oh, brave new words that are such beauteous people in it. And beauteous people are those people who have ideas. And I bow to these scientists and inventors and researchers who come up with these fantastic concepts. Think about it. Thank you.